Also, huge thank you to Indiana Humanities, our wonderful partners, and Indiana Sciences, and of course, as always, our libraries, our public libraries, who need our support now more than ever. I've been saying that for like 2 years, but it's still, hey, still true. Love our librarians. And so woo, our librarians, go Chrissy, love you, girl. So with that, I would like, because I don't know you as well as you know you.
I do know me.
You do know you.
Yes.
So how about you introduce yourself for everybody on the live stream and here, and tell us about yourself.
Okay. Why, hello.
And here we go.
Right. Let's see. So my name is Maurice Broadus. I'm a science fiction, fantasy, and horror writer. I've been writing for about just over a couple of decades. I like to say after like 3 jobs. So one, I'm a writer, but I'm also a middle school teacher / librarian. I'm a librarian at the right. I'm a librarian at the Oaks Academy Middle School, and we just and so I'm in year 1 because we just restored the Paul Laurence Dunbar Library over there, the historic Paul Laurence Dunbar Library. So I am the librarian over there. I'm also the resident Afrofuturist at the Kepler Institute. Okay. And then, like I said, I'm a writer. Although to my students, I think I only have 3 credits. Despite my 20-year career, I have 3 credits as far as they're concerned. So I get a full credit for my middle grade books, Unfadable and Usual Suspects, but all of them together, 1 credit.
1 credit. Got it.
I get a full credit because I was a consultant for a video game called Watch Dogs 2.
Oh my God.
So they give me a full credit for that. And then I get a full credit for writing a Black Panther book. Then after that, nothing else counts. That's it.
Kids are your harshest critics.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. My own kids, my students, all of them, none of them are impressed by anything I do.
Yeah.
So.
And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe.
Oh, no, I work hard. No, so that's the thing. So I don't know if that speaks about my psychology or anything, but they keep denying being impressed by me. So I keep doing more and more things to try and impress them. So like I just, my most recent short story just came out last month. It was a Captain America short story. And I'm like, kids, now I've written Captain America. And my middle school students are like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, okay, I'll bank that one. I'm working on that 4th credit. So
you start charging them tuition. You're giving them 4. Come on, 4 credits.
Right. Do you know how impressive I am? But no. Sorry. So right before this, I was doing my creative writing club, and so that's my after school program that I work with kids, and I'm a little flushed with middle school energy right now. I'm trying to tamp it down, but it'll pop out.
Yeah. So. And you know what? We love that.
Okay.
I'm here for the energy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get a memo tomorrow. I already know this.
Yeah.
Because one of the other teachers walked in the middle of me doing my thing, and I told one of the students that they are now dead to me. And apparently, you shouldn't say that to middle school students, but I'm like, okay, whatever. You are dead to me. And so, but well, I don't even know how I got here. I'm sorry. Ask me something so I can come back on the page.
Yeah.
And now, respectable author, Maurice Broadus.
And we'll bring it back down to earth.
Correct.
But not OE, because we're in the pre-ecological collapse, but I think we're right on time.
Right.
For ecological collapse.
According to Octavia, yes, we are sadly right on schedule. So
on schedule. So let's go back to when you first realized you had a story to tell. When did you get inspired to start writing stories, and where did this journey of yours begin?
So a couple of different answers. So I mean, the original answer would be so I wasn't born here. I was born in London, and then we moved to America when I was about 6 years old, and so they didn't know what grade to put me in, and so the teacher just put me in the back of the class, gave me a stack of paper, and just said, "You'll just create stuff this year." Right?
Okay.
Right. So I'm just like, man, American schools are great. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So that was like thing number 1. Thing number 2 came in 5th grade, because that was like in my about 2nd grade when that happened. Wow. And so then in 5th grade, I came in 2nd place in a citywide essay contest, and I'm just like, oh, there might be something to this. I came in 2nd place in an essay contest, but I also wrote my first horror story called The Big Mac Attacker, which was about, look, it's 5th grade, and this is what I'm like, it's how my brain works. And so it was a story about a Big Mac being eaten, told from the perspective of the Big Mac.
I see where the horror's coming.
Right, okay. Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
We're there.
So I was like, oh, so So already this is how my brain, and plus by this point I'd already been kicked out of Sunday school class a couple of times.
Just a few.
Yeah, yeah. Look, my wife will attest to the fact that we've been married later on, like in April, we will have been married 25 years.
Congrats. Yeah. Round of applause.
Yeah, she has survived me for 25 years. And in our matrimonial journey, we've been kicked out of like 6 churches now. Yeah, about 6 churches so far.
Yeah.
So,
Just a rough estimate.
right. So
Who's counting?
Right. It's a journey. It's a journey.
Someone.
Right.
Not you.
Right. Yeah. Someone else, not
Not
me.
me.
No, she'll quick to remind me. We've been kicked out of another one. I'm like, no, the last one we got kicked out together. So
This is a weed.
this is a weed problem. We got kicked out of this last one. One of
Okay.
right. But
One of 6.
one of 6
I'm glad we're keeping
joined
track.
up. Right. Exactly. Where was I on my journey? So kicked out of churches, 5th grade, got it. And then the last one was in high school.
Okay.
In high school, I had a couple of teachers who realized they couldn't give me writing assignments. So they said, we're going to develop our own curriculum just for you. And so, which was really neat because that's the first time I got recognized. Like, no, you have a gift, you have a talent,
Yeah.
and we're going to push it. So, I mean, that's the way I remember it
Yeah.
romantically. But I think the actuality is like they had given like the class like an essay assignment. It was like a 20-page essay assignment for everybody to do. And so it was like we get like 2 months to put together this 25-page
Okay.
essay. Yeah. So after day 2, I'm done, which leaves me plenty of time for me to goof off. And they were like, special curriculum just for you. And I'm like, okay. So that's how that started.
No months of goofing off for you.
No months of goofing off.
Now,
So-
as a teacher, does that hit different now?
So here's the thing. I keep trying to tell my teachers, my students. I'm like, look here. Here's the thing. As teachers, we always we put together plans and pace the class according to the slowest students. So y'all goofing off is what they expect. If you work ahead, we're defenseless.
Why are you showing them the playbook?
Look, because okay. So
Why-
to be
why
fair,
are you giving them-
because and you know what? My principal literally had that conversation with me. You're not even a teacher. You're like a co-conspirator.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay.
That's what it's sounding like. That's what it's
I
sounding
do bring
like.
that energy. I'm not gonna lie. I bring that energy. So,
That is the energy
we are
you're bringing.
we are the chaos bringers. So yeah, welcome to middle school.
Yeah, I believe it.
Right.
I believe it. So you describe yourself as beginning in horror. So how do we get to Sweep of Stars from the horror genre? Is this like a slow evolution? Does your writing style change? Do your inspirations change over time? Or is it just you found new interests and horror
No,
will always be your first love?
Well, yes, horror would be my first love. So like I've been writing for about 25 years professionally, and so the first 10 years of my career easily was me as a horror writer.
Yeah.
And so horror short stories, novellas, things like that. I was strictly a horror writer. And then it's like I'm just sharing all sorts of random stuff now.
Yeah.
So anyway, in therapy.
That's how the best story started.
Right, exactly. And so one of the things we came to realize is that when I'm writing horror, I was writing horror from a place of anger. And so horror was my literary rage reaction to life.
Okay. Interesting.
Right. And so then when I start, and so keep that in mind. So I'm writing horror from a place of rage. And so I put out a short story collection once, and it was divided into the past, present, and future. The stories were set, you know. And so the stories in the past and the present were all horror stories. But then when it got to the stories in the future, it was all, just futuristic imaginings of what could be and that sort of thing. And so the reviews came out and we're just like, wow, Maurice is a great writer. That's the way I'm remembering the reviews, just so you know. It says, Maurice is a great writer.
Yeah. These aren't the middle schooler reviews.
Right,
These
exactly.
Adults.
Right. But when he gets to the stories of the future, that's when he really shines as an Afrofuturist.
Oh, okay.
And so that was my first time encountering that term, Afrofuturist.
Okay.
But then I realized, in a conversation with the therapist, it's just like, when I'm writing horror, it's from a place of rage. Mm-hmm. But when I'm writing science fiction, it's from a place of dreaming. Okay. And so I do like that sort of tension. 'Cause I still write horror. 'Cause I love this sentence I'm about to make. So I had a story just came out just over a year ago in Jordan Peele's anthology called Out There Screaming. And then in this upcoming August, I have another horror short story for Stephen King in an anthology for him. So I'm just like, oh, so right now my current horror career is bookended by Jordan Peele and Stephen King. I can live with that in terms of a description for a career. So
That's wild.
Right.
First, congrats.
Right?
I'm giving you your flowers.
yeah, me too. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I've worked a long time for this. So, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and so you also, from what I understand, you've written a lot of short stories, but here we're talking about Sweep of Stars, which is a trilogy. So how do you move from short story? Did you just have so many that you said, let's just put it in a book? This is a complete story.
Oh no, it's and to be honest, short stories. Speaking of first love, short stories are my first love.
Yes.
I love short stories. It's rare that you can make a career off of short stories.
Okay.
And so when I originally pitched Sweep of Stars, or actually the Astro Black trilogy, when I originally pitched it, I was just it's like I'm debating how honest to be right now.
10%.
Okay, so I was drinking with an editor, and an editor was asking me what I was working on, and the first thing I told her about was Pimp My Airship, and she was like, yeah, I could tell she wasn't really moved by Pimp My Airship, and I pitched something else, two active projects that I was working on, and neither one impressed her. So then I just started pitching Sweep of Stars. I made it up on the spot.
No.
Yeah. I'm just making and like the raw pitch was like hood chicks with guns in space. I'm like,
In space.
I was many drinks into the evening. I just want the record to reflect. I was many drinks into the evening. Right. And so then and she's like, hey, if you give me an outline for that, we'll move forward with that book project. And so then I go to my agent. I'm just like, hey, you know how bad I am? She just wants an outline and we can move forward. And my agent's like, yeah, of course she does. That's actually a really good idea. So write up an outline, write the first 3 chapters and give it to me. And I'll take it from there.
Okay.
And so then that's how, then there ended up being an auction and a bidding war. And I mean, it was a whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no, it sounds great now, but like at the time, I'm like curled up in a ball in the corner while the auction's going on. And my wife's trying to figure out, why are you so bent out of shape? There's literally a bunch of people bidding on your book. And I'm just like, this book doesn't exist.
Yeah.
This book does not exist. They are bidding on something that does not exist right now. So I'm in the corner.
Yeah.
As I'm watching the bids go up and up, I'm like, it don't exist. It don't exist. Like the whole world's going to know I'm a fraud. And that's literally all the things going on in my head. So
it started with a bang.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wait, you asked about short stories. So
Short stories.
this is how the whole evening's going to
novels.
go, just so you know. It's just like.
And this is how my brain works too. So this is going to be a problem.
Perfect. So as far as short stories, so I start writing Sweep of Stars. And I'm realizing that, like, because remember I said that short story collection had all these stories that took place in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ooh, what if those were all in the same universe?
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so now I already have a basis of like 5 short stories that take place in that universe. And then and the pitch, the thing about the hood chicks with guns in space, I had actually started working on this military sci-fi story that was inspired by some friends in the community. I was like, man, what if y'all were like a military unit exploring space? So I had that unpublished short story.
Okay.
And then I just realized, start weaving, and then I'd already published what was it? Oh, I'd gotten the Creative Renewal Grant a while back. And over the course of during that time, I'd written a couple like sci-fi novellas and stuff like that. And I'm just like, what if they were all of these futuristic stories, what if they were all in the same universe?
Yeah.
So now I'm like a dozen stories deep into the universe, and I haven't written word 1 yet, but I'm like, ooh, so much is already built out. So then I start writing Sweep of Stars. And then as I'm writing Sweep of Stars, so one of the ways I do world building is when I get stuck on a world building point, I will write a short story to flesh out the idea in my head. So then I start writing additional short stories to flesh out different parts of the world. And I'm like, okay, now I got it. So now I'll keep writing in Sweep of Stars and then in The Breath of Oblivion. And so now I'm like and actually now that I've just turned in book 3 and I'm just like, oh, I'm done with book 3. but there was this one thing I wanted to, so like I'm noodling out, like right now, literally right now, I'm working on another short story set in the same universe. I'm just like, oh, what about these one aliens that I mentioned briefly? Let me just go ahead and write their backstory too while I'm here. So, so
it begins.
And so it begins. So I probably will have 2 dozen or so short stories set in this universe, on top of the 3 books.
On top, wow.
Yeah.
So when you're going into a project like this that is so I mean, building a universe I can't imagine that to be an easy task.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going into it kind of as you go, saying, oh, I'm not really sure how this works, let me build on that? Or are you doing like a lot of planning on the front end to like figure out, or are you just letting the story kind of take you and see what corners need to, shine a light on?
No, it's a bit of both. So
Okay.
So I probably spent a year or so dreaming with my neighbors.
Okay.
That's why I call it. So a lot of the world building was spent with me just talking to folks, talking to neighbors, talking to friends, and we're just sort of like dreaming together. It's like, hey, what could the world look like? What could this world look like? If we were to win, what would we build?
Yeah.
Right. And so now, we're like, hey, how would we reimagine how schools are done? How would we reimagine economic systems?
Yeah. Oh,
how would we reimagine how we govern ourselves? How would we reimagine policing?
Yeah.
How would we reimagine cultural priorities of like science and art and teachers as being the highest things you can aspire to as a culture?
Yeah.
Right. And so we start dreaming together what this could look like. And so that becomes a certain amount of the world building done just by dreaming alongside my neighbors for like a year and a half, something like that, just in conversation and talking about that. And then after that comes and then that gives me a good jumping off point. But then, as I run into problems, it's just like, hey, how would this work? Because like I said, when I talk about world building, I'm like, as a creative, I start with a blank page, which means anything is possible. I can do anything I want.
Yeah.
So then when I said, hey, you know what? How about if our starships are powered by jazz music? Okay, that's now going to be a thing. Or the starships are now powered by jazz music. I have no idea how this is going to work, but we'll figure that out as we go.
Yeah.
So
you in the book
me in the book, we're in conversation with one another, and in the book's like, I don't know how this works. I'm like, we don't have to know how it works. We'll just keep going. And we'll just throw hints at it as we go. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that process. So this is a science-themed group. So I want to ask you about what kind of research went into Sweep of Stars from a technical standpoint. Did you just kind of go into it like anything's possible? I'm creating my own universe. Did you want to have some accuracy so you didn't get like astronomers or physicists go knocking down your door going, this isn't right?
No, I have the occasional physicist friend who I'll turn to, who shall remain nameless. But that's part of the joy of world building, right? It's part of the fun of it is you get to talk to experts and it's like, hey, can we get together and have coffee? This counts as work.
Yeah. This is a business meeting.
This is a business meeting. I can write it off my taxes, all kind of stuff. And we get to just, as an excuse to hang out.
Yeah.
So you do want, but one of the reasons why I spend so much time in the very meticulous world building is because if I get the bulk of the real stuff right, by the time you get to, but the starships are powered by jazz music.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're like, right. It's like, hey, but don't mind this over here. It works to a great extent. And so and plus I do have a casual interest in quantum physics, for example. I mean, my degree is a casual. It's so weird to say that out loud, but
casual.
My degree is in biology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I graduated with a BS in biology in like 1993. But like, if you ask me today, I can't pick a protein out of a lineup right now. Yeah. So I mean, there's that. Yeah. But I still have an ongoing casual interest in quantum physics. So like for the course of the series, I think I read What is Real was a book I read. What was it? The Disordered Cosmos. Let's see. Oh, The Jazz of Physics and its sequel, The Fear of a Black Universe. Which those two are like two of my all-time favorite books. because I mean, because the Jazz of Physics is about this physics professor. He grew up with a great love of hip hop, and then became a jazz musician, then became a physicist. And it's all about how your art brain and your science brain combine to just commit problems in a different way. And I'm like, that's like the perfect intersection of what I want to talk about in this book. So there's a whole lot of that sort of stuff. That I really, although there came a point where I'm just like, even in the book, and there are a couple of characters who have this conversation, is like, you can't just keep sticking quantum in front of everything and act like you've explained something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just say that's a physics joke, and I broke down the physicist, so I'm like, I feel good right now.
Yeah,
so,
we'll call that a win.
It's a win, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you're dreaming about the technology that you describe in the book, are these like, you describe like these nanobots, and you describe okay, maybe jazz powered spaceships or not in the future, but
you don't know.
You know what? And I don't.
Right. Okay.
I certainly do not.
Okay.
But are these things that you imagine coming to fruition and being real? Or are these things that maybe are in development now, and you're like, that sounds really cool if that could work out?
So I am not a technological guy whatsoever.
Yeah.
I
would not know that reading this book.
I will copy that right now. Well, but see, here's where it did come out. So like, I'm starting to do all this imagining of this world building, the technology and stuff like that. And so originally Sweep of Stars was supposed to take place 1,000 years from now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all the stuff I'm imagining, science is actually moving kind of quick.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if all the stuff I'm imagining for 1,000 years from now, it's probably only like 100 years from now.
Yeah.
So then, I adjust the timeline accordingly, so there was that. Hang on, what was the question? Real question.
Just talking about what the technology that you discussed.
Oh, yeah.
Like being real.
Right. And so there is a certain amount of, researching quantum computers and figuring out how those could work, pursuing some esoteric theories about how dark matter arrives in the universe and what is functioning in the universe. I found a couple of esoteric theories that will play out in the third book, actually.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I do some things with dark matter in the third book that I might need someone's seal of approval on. I do a whole thing.
Okay.
So there's that, but then there is some stuff that I do flat out make up.
Yeah.
So like the jazz ships started powered by. I mean the starships powered by jazz music, for example. What I'm doing with that is as an Afrofuturist, I'm drawing on Afrofuturist traditions. Mm-hmm. So like Sun Ra was a jazz musician of the 50s, and his whole thing was he created a mythology about him and his jazz orchestra, which he called the Orchestra, and he had a whole mythology about himself that said, hey, we're actually from Saturn, and so cool. We're here to interact with Earth and but that Black people's journey is destined for the stars. So I incorporate a lot of Sun Ra's mythology into the book series, and thus why Titan becomes a pivotal key area in the universe. So there's that. So put a pin in that, but that's why starships are powered by jazz music.
Yeah.
But then you spoke about the nanobot technology. Well, that is it's referred to as Funkadelic in the book.
Yeah.
And so, but Funkadelic is a term that I'm drawing from the Parliament Funkadelic mythology, because Parliament Funkadelic was a funk group from the 1970s, and they too had created a mythology about themselves.
Yeah.
Being from I think they had been like George Clinton and Bootsy Collins, who two of the main folks in Parliament Funkadelic. They had been visited by aliens, and so they created this mythology. Strangely enough, drugs were involved in this story.
Who'd have guessed?
I know. I was as shocked as anyone.
The 1970s.
I know, right? But they believe they've been visited by aliens, and they create this mythology about, again, Black people's destiny being in the stars. They had this whole thing about the Star Child and the mothership and Funkadelic, and I was just like, I'm gonna weave all of that into the story. And so that's why Funkadelic becomes like one of the basic technologies in the story.
Yeah. So. And I want to take this into our turn and talk, because I want to, for those of you who maybe are new or this is your first time joining us, for our turn and talks, I'll give you like a prompt to discuss at your table. We'll give it like a couple minutes, and then we'll come back and we can talk about it. And maybe people can ask you questions. But this brings me to my first question for you all, which is there anything in this book that you wish was real now? Any technology that you saw and you read about and you were like, oh, when is that coming down the pipeline? I will say this, the AI, that 100 years might be too far. I think we might be getting these AI assistants a little quicker, which is kind of crazy to believe, but I wouldn't mind one of those.
And that was a whole philosophical conversation that led to that. But go ahead.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we can come back to that.
So I would love to know what from you all reading this book, what your thoughts were on any of the technology that you saw and some of the advances that you saw that you were like, oh, I wish I had that right now. Although I will also add a spaceship, just in general, powered by whatever.
Right.
Also would be pretty neat
Absolutely.
to have. So I'll give you guys like a couple minutes and then we'll come back. And for our live stream viewers, we'll stay with you. And then we'll report out. And I'm curious if, for me, I definitely went towards the AI. Oh. Yeah. No.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Have the visual for our live stream.
Go.
Oh yeah. I'll go closer. Sorry. Might be. Okay. Amazing. Yay! Amazing.
Right.
Is there anything that you is there anything in the science and tech kind of aspect of this book that came from you that you said, that was your dreaming? Or can you point to like, oh, this idea came from this person, this idea came from this person? Is that like the funnest part of writing a book?
Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun.
There are different things. Well, I mean, there's so many things that go into writing this book. Like there's a whole, actually in each book, there's a whole element, like I have like students randomly put into my books. Cause
oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I had a couple of students, I'm just like, look, if y'all just be quiet, I'll put you in this book.
Stop.
And so like one of the main characters in there is just literally named after one of my students who was just like, I just need you quiet during study hall, and I'll put you in this book. So I put one in the book and I'm like, yeah, I got to kill you off. And they're like, oh no, I'd love that. I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. So I get requests to be killed off pretty often.
What?
Yeah. Oh no, in Breath of Oblivion, I literally had a community leader ask me if I could write him into the book and then kill him off.
Why do you want to emotionally torture me, the reader?
Right. Well,
because that's what Phaelus does was. I'll tell you that right now. I can't, 2 deaths in one book. I can't handle that. Stop.
So, all right. So here's the thing, because one of those deaths is actually,
Stop.
Many of the characters were inspired by like real life community folks in Indianapolis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so okay.
So,
that's dangerous.
Right. So the Camarazzola character.
No. Now, who broke it?
You may want to ask me that question live about his reaction to that scene.
Oh, so okay. You can't do this to me.
I make a lot of quilts. This is a jazz quilt. If you look up close, there's all these cats playing jazz.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And,
Oh.
cats playing jazz here. And I'm stitching in here all these quotes, including one that says, jazz came to America 200 years ago in chains. If you unchain that energy, you can power a spaceship.
I love that so much.
I
love that so much.
It's not done yet. When it's done, I'll let you know.
Please do. Yeah. I'd love that.
I've done a lot of jazz quilts.
Okay.
Show you some
Ooh.
feelings. He's got a different favorite one that's on his side of the bed. Yeah, very cool.
All right. Thank you. Love that.
I don't know if anyone's told you this, but your cliffhangers are brutal. That's brutal. Why would you do that to me?
I have. I've noticed the reviews of the second book. They were.
Don't tell me that.
They were just like,
Don't
he
tell me
knows
that.
how to do a cliffhanger.
Don't tell me that. Ooh.
Another drink? Oh, you mean the drink I finished
You're already
long
going for
before?
2.
Oh no, I finished that long. That, huh? I mean, I could suck the melted ice. Definitely not the signs of a problem. Can I just get a little taste?
To be fair, again, for our live stream viewers.
Oh yeah,
drinks
I
here are
forgot. Oh,
good.
that's
Yeah.
I do not. I do not have a problem. Yes, I do really want that.
Also, it's in a cute cup.
Right?
It's so cute. Yeah.
It's like a dainty.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to go pinkies up
Mm-hmm.
when you're drinking the painkiller.
Oh, I'm glad I decided to do this because a lot of it melted in. Like, oh yeah, this is nice.
Strange Bird. They know how to do it, folks.
Right?
Get over here. Sorry. I'll grab that and then we'll go back.
That's perfect.
Now
Now you're losing notes.
listen, I will rescue a pen. I live with a teacher. I know the
Oh.
value of a good pen.
Right? And these are my favorite pens too. So.
Another sign of a teacher. You got a favorite pen. Okay, well let's go ahead and
Okay.
now that my life's falling apart. Just kidding. Yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready, Captain? Yeah. I like pandering to the live stream audience because I want them to get their ass out here. Like, no offense. Love you.
Right.
Love you guys.
But I'm an impressive joy in real person, in real life.
Okay, that might be.
Right. Like, ah!
I don't think anybody who's known me for more than 20 minutes would ever describe me that way.
As a joy.
As a joy. No. No Oz. Handful, maybe,
Right.
is more
Right.
accurate. An experience. God, that's real. That's real. So would love for anybody, if you want to share, you don't have to. If there was anything in the book that jumped out at you, any like piece of technology or any advancement that you were like, that was really cool. I really wish I had that now. And like I said, I'm down for a spaceship. One that doesn't cost like $600,000 or whatever.
Right.
Whatever Jeff Bezos's stupid ship costs. One that like I can just get on.
Yeah.
Or if I could have a wormhole gate, that'd be pretty sick.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
In my backyard. What's that? Wormhole portal?
Yeah. You don't recognize.
Right. Don't anyone have one?
Don't you have?
Right.
No? Just me? Are we going to fight a war over this? Yeah, we are.
Right.
And then, the nanobots. I'm down with the nanobots.
Yeah. So, the Funkenteleky that controls nanobots.
So cool.
Yeah. I do like that. But which does what it ends up doing is it becomes this fine line between science and mysticism because of the way that technology works. Because it's basically how do we use our spirit to power these and control these nanobots.
Yeah.
It's basically the base of that technology.
Yeah.
So it's moved not so much by telepathy, but by like here's my spirit sort of directing these nanobots.
Yeah.
So.
So how I want to give a minute. I don't want to move on too
Okay.
quickly. If anybody would like to ask our author anything or talk about a technology that you really liked from the book. Yeah.
So I'll just say, first of all, from a point of view of my own work, the Funkenteleky is definitely the thing that speaks to me the most. But you started, I think you said, with chicks with guns. And there's some pretty good guns.
Right.
True. Yeah. The weaponry,
All named after hip hop figures.
which I love. Why are we too serious that we're giving everything
Right.
letter, number, dash, number, letter?
Right.
Okay. What does that do for me?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Well, I mean, there are letter, number, but it's just DMX and Andre 3000, but put together as
Letter,
a
number.
weapon. Right. It's like I'll give you letters and a number. But here you go.
Yeah. And you also give me, as we talked about in our turn and talk, really terrible cliffhangers. Just not even terrible, brutal. They're emotionally brutal and brutal deaths. And I need you to talk about Zola. I need you to talk about it. So we were talking in our turn and talk about, because we go off on tangents. If you've ever been a live stream viewer, I'm so sorry, because I don't think I ever talk about my prompt, which is probably what happens at all of the tables too. But these you were talking about these characters are, I'll say loosely because they die, loosely based on people you know in your real life.
Right.
So I need to know about I need to know, one, how did the person who Zola is based off of react to finding out that they were in the book? I would love to know if they were like thrilled. If they asked, did they ask to be a part of the book? I need to know how they found out. And if you haven't read this book, I'm sorry, we're spoiling it.
It's a,
That's
minor,
not- that's
it's a
on you.
minor spoiler.
a minor
I consider it a minor spoiler. But
Minor.
sorry, I'm
That
laughing
was damaging.
because there's a Facebook post another author just posted like a day or so ago, and she said that moment when you question the likability of a great author because they killed off your favorite character before the second book. I'm talking to you, Maurice Broaddus.
And you know what? They're correct.
And I know which character they're talking about because literally when I saw that post, I happened to be sitting with the character who inspired Camarazzola at the time.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
so a lot of
I need to know.
okay, so big
You need
picture.
to answer for this.
I and believe. Oh no, he lives for this. By
Okay,
the way.
good.
So so big picture, the whole Astrid Block trilogy. So like I said, I'm the resident Afrofuturist at the Kepler Institute. So a lot of the Kepler Institute cast of characters ends up floating through this book.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so one of the co-founders of the Kepler Institute was one of the inspirations for the Camarazzola character.
Okay.
And so there's an open secret because, you know, it's like if you're in my life, there's a high likelihood you may end up in a story. I mean, that's just the reality. Unless you've made specific, do not put me in a book like my wife did. Like, do not put me in a book. And I'm like, okay, I will not. Except for this one scene in Usual Suspects, which was she still hates, but she's already taken off. So I can tell the story.
So we can talk about it.
Right.
Yep.
She absolutely hates that scene in The Usual Suspect. I'm like, but you don't understand. That scene is glorious and so great. And everybody loves that scene. So no, you're fine. But yeah, so if you're in my life, there's a high likelihood you're going to be in a story. That's just part of the Maurice Broaddus joy experience.
Yeah. You signed it in the CDA.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. And so when the elder was reading the book, and I knew he was reading it, and then so I'm minding my own business, going through my day, and my phone rings, and I'm like, "Hello," and he's like, "You motherfucker." I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "You motherfucker," and I'm just like, "Oh, you're on chapter 10, aren't you?" He's like, "And you made me spill my whiskey," and I'm like, "That's how the universe knew you had to be dead."
That was how, yeah.
Right. But because I end up killing him off in book one, like literally another community leader wrote me, or actually he didn't write me. He came to one of my events. He's like, "Hey, I need you to write me into book 2 and kill me off."
Oh my, come on.
Right. And so I guess there's minor spoilers for book 2. There's a character who in I think chapter 1, I think it is in chapter 1, either chapter 1 or chapter 2. I bring in this character and he goes, "I want to be brought into the book. I want to be killed off, but my death has to be cool." And I'm like, "I got you."
Okay. Are we shading the first death as not cool?
Well,
Come on.
There are ramifications for that death that
God.
I would just say that go through the entire series. Because
Well, yeah.
I had a personal assistant, and he was just like, because like I'm halfway through writing. When I was halfway through writing Breath of Oblivion, which is a sequel, I was like, I got it. I know who killed him off. And he's like, "Wait, you didn't know when you wrote it in
Hold on.
Superstars?"
No.
Okay, go ahead.
What? You didn't know? What? What? Okay. Do we find out in the second book?
No, but I figured it out in the second
All right.
book.
Okay, but we don't find out.
You don't find out
Me,
till
the
book
reader.
3. You don't find out till book 3, and then you find out a whole lot of stuff in book 3 that makes you reevaluate the entire series.
This is gonna destroy me.
Yeah, it will, because that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
So you know it is written because you shared with us before that you have submitted a draft. You've submitted a draft of the third book.
Yeah, A City Dreaming.
So A City Dreaming. Okay, so we have a title.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because Sweep of Stars, Breath of Oblivion, and A City Dreaming are all phrases. They're in the poem called Stars by Langston Hughes.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I take all the phrases from his poem.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I love your reference to it too. In Sweep of Stars, you just casually dropped. You were like, in case you didn't figure this out, Langston Hughes.
Langston Hughes, correct.
For which I love a direct call out for the
Yeah.
reader.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, hey, in case dummy, in case you didn't get this, we're not calling you guys dummies. We're
Right,
not calling
right.
readers. I'm calling me the dummy. Oh my God. I needed to sit with that for a minute
Yeah, well,
because
there-
now I'm gonna be because
I'll-
his death already
I'll just say
rocked me.
there are some cliffhangers in book 2.
Stop.
So just brace yourself.
Who let you do this?
I have, because
Who
they
lets you
signed me to a
keep
3-book deal in advance. And the book didn't exist. So I'm just like, and the check cleared. So I'm like, okay,
And now
I'm in
that's
it now.
important.
Right.
Now that's important.
Absolutely.
So we're going back to short stories. No more
Right,
novels.
right.
Because you can't keep doing this to people.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I wanna go, I can't keep talking about these characters because this is actually gonna ruin me. I want to go back to your description in your job as an Afrofuturist.
Mhm.
And can you describe, did you give yourself that distinction, or was that kind of given to you after you started writing?
Yeah.
And can you describe a little bit more what that means?
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, when the reviews for my short story collection came out, that was when people first started describing me as like, oh, when he's doing these stories, his work as an Afrofuturist really starts to shine.
So that was given to you.
Right. And I
Okay.
had never heard like an Afro what now? I'm like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And then the Black Panther movie comes out shortly thereafter. And so suddenly the term Afrofuturism is now suddenly thrown into the pop culture consciousness. And so with Afrofuturism, it's basically art through a Black cultural lens.
Okay.
And that's the short definition. So it could apply to music, it could apply to visual arts, it could apply to literary arts. But I think at its heart, I mean, Afrofuturism, it's art as critique of the present that is rooted in the past, but always imagines us into the future.
Okay.
And so that's why I've always looked at it. So like, but it's also the work we've always done, right? So when I look at visual arts, for example, you got Basquiat as a Afrofuturist artist. In fashion, you got Ruthie Carter, who designed the costumes for Black Panther, and who will have an exhibit here at the Children's Museum, I think, starting next month.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
So you got that. So you got, and then in music, I've already talked about Sun Ra and
Yeah.
Parliament Funkadelic, but I mean, you move forward to like Andre 3000, Janelle Monáe. You have all sorts of musicians who work in this Afrofuturist lane,
Yeah.
as were. But in literature, it's the work that we've always done, imagining ourselves into the future. We can go all the way back to W.E.B. Du Bois, for example.
Yeah.
Not too many people know he was a science fiction writer.
Yeah.
He had a couple short stories where he's just imagining Black people in the future. You follow that chain through, all the way through Octavia Butler, Samuel Delaney, to modern times with Nora N.K. Jemisin, Nisi Shaw. Dang on, I'm blanking on some. River Solomon. All these Afrofuturist writers. So, and I'm just, count myself privileged to be in the same sentence as some of those folks.
Yeah, with 4 credits too.
Right. With only 4 credits, but
Yeah.
somehow I'm in that sentence.
It's impressive.
Right. But then when I turned that term Afrofuturism to me at the Kepler Institute as the resident Afrofuturist, I'm like, well, that speaks to how we move through the world. It's like, hey, because I'm the resident Afrofuturist among Afrofuturists who are my neighbors,
Yeah.
who are always imagining how things could be, the future we'd like to co-create together, and what does it look like to dream together and work towards this future. But I mean, a lot of organizations have like futurists on staff.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah. So many organizations have like a futurist who, and the job of a futurist is to examine trends and see what's going on, and then try to start to carve out pathways of like, well, here's how we could move forward. Here's
Yeah.
how this trend could eventuate. Sort of like create blueprints for how to move forward.
Yeah.
It's just as an Afrofuturist, I'm doing that same sort of future casting, but through a Black cultural lens.
Okay. That sounds really cool. So I want to open this up for everybody to be able to talk to you about Sweep of Stars in this universe, because I feel like a lot of the times I hog all of the time. I ask all the questions, and it's the stuff I want. It's always stuff I want to know because I'm selfish. But I want to give everyone an opportunity to talk about the book, and because I think there's so many different pieces of this book and so many different aspects of this book that are so interesting. And I think everyone has a different piece that maybe they are really interested in or, want to know more about. And I don't want to just do this for me. I'm trying to be selfless here. So it is, February, Valentine's Day month. So this is me loving book lovers. I want to give everyone an opportunity to open this up and talk to our author about Sweep of Stars, the series, who else dies? No, I'm kidding. I don't want to know. Don't ask that. But I want to open it up to anybody who wants to ask our author questions about the mysterious third book, the mysteries that are some are answered. It sounds like in the third book, and I'll ask more things because I'm selfish.
Yes.
So did your the spaceships that operate power from Jazz, did you happen to take any inspiration from the Jazz vampires in Aronovitch's Moon Over Soho?
No, I didn't know Ben had done that. Oh, no.
It's the second book in the Midnight Light series.
Okay. No, that
Jazz vampires.
right.
Okay.
Jazz vampires been around. So actually, where the jazz starships came from was a conversation I had with the guy who inspired Camarazzola,
Okay.
because he's a big jazz head.
Okay.
And so he and I got into a discussion about jazz, and then also and it led to the whole idea of the skill of improvisation is an important leadership skill.
Oh.
And so when he had said that, then I started to imagine it's like, wait a second. Then that means all starship captains should be trained
In improv.
And so then that led to this whole, all right, and what could that lead to? And then the whole idea of having what they call command performances, which is how the command crew gets together to recharge the ship engine. So I get to write all these scenes of because there's a couple scenes where it's just and now the ship is plummeting to blah, blah, blah. Let's all get together for a jazz performance. There's a couple of scenes like that where I'm just and to make that all believable is a lot, but hopefully I think I get there.
Yeah,
So.
and a jazz flute performance nonetheless. We get in Sweep of Star. That
Right.
chef's kiss.
Thank you.
Love it.
I think do we have a question? Yeah.
I'll come up so I'm on screen
Okay.
or yell. You mentioned bidding war, and you're curled up in a ball.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me of my dignity. Okay, go ahead.
So
Okay.
my question is, how do you go from curled up in the ball to this sold, the check cleared,
Right.
now I got to do the work? How do you make that transition from complete fear to
Yes.
I got to produce something?
Right. I would say this: it is good to have friends. And so I end up talking to a friend of mine, and one of the things she says to me is, "Yeah, they weren't bidding on the book; they were bidding on you." And so they were bidding for whatever you come up with. And so then once that sort of settled in, I'm just like, wait a second. Yeah, they're bidding on whatever I come up with. That's what they're bidding on. And the check did clear. So, all right, well, then let's see how far I can push it then. So, so then after, literally, that was one of those conversations, it just turned everything in my head. And I'm like, wait, she's right. They're bidding on whatever I come up with. And she's like, you can't fail because whatever you come up with, that's what they want. So I'm like, okay, then it's just lean into it with confidence and go for it. So, thank you. Oh, we got a question back there.
Follow up on that. You seem to have a driving muse. I mean, I have a muse myself who drives me. You seem to have a very driving muse, at least for the Afrofuturism.
Mhm.
Are you still driven by the rage at all, or is that faded some?
Mm.
Are you still warring between
Yeah.
So,
inclusive rage and
got you.
Yeah.
So I have a new personal assistant because my previous one fell in love and is functionally useless at the moment. But we
Happens
love
to
that
best.
for him. No, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. We love that for him. He's in love, and so I have a new personal assistant, and so she and my wife sat in on a meeting with my agent. My agent's like, "All right, what are you working on?" And then my assistant's like, she's taking notes during the whole meeting. She's like, afterwards, she goes, "You do know you have 27 active projects
No.
going on right now."
27.
27.
Only 27.
Only 27.
Only.
Right.
Every academic is like,
Right. That I admit to.
oh no.
Right. So, and like, I think 4 of them are novels.
4 novels?
Yeah. But then like as 5 of them are novels.
Okay.
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 I had to double check that. Like, nope, it's 5. 5 are novels. And then I think at least a dozen of them are short stories.
Oh my gosh.
Including what, like I said, the one I'm noodling on right now.
Oh gosh.
But like in terms of the Rage piece, it's like no, there. So Rage is like I said, it's a reaction to when I'm viewing the world, and shockingly, as I look around the world at the moment, I'm filled with rage. I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to surprise anybody with that
Shock.
revelation there.
Breaking news.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are several. So actually, one of the books itself is like, because like I said, my previous assistant, he was just like, "Can you write a book on your writing process?" And it's literally called "I Walk in Rage," and that's the book I'm going to be working on over the summer, because no, I'm still there.
Yeah.
I'm still there, and then I have a couple of short stories where I'm just like, oh no, I still have some things I'm working through.
And we're going to work through it in a literary
In
format.
a literary format, right? Exactly.
So that's what we can look forward to.
Oh yeah. Actually, I did that. I actually have 13 short stories coming out this year.
Okay, the number keeps going up. I notice every time you say a number,
Right.
it's bigger.
Right. Well, so it's 13 coming out, 12 that I'm writing.
Oh, got it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
13 coming
So,
out.
yeah. So these are like stories I wrote last year.
Oh, okay.
Sure,
That doesn't count.
Right.
That's not
Yeah.
on the list.
Yeah. And I think three of those stories are in the Astro Black universe also.
Oh, so we're getting more from.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, I was still world building up until the very end. So I'm just like, let me go ahead and write another short story. Like, yeah.
Oh, so we're gonna get more. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm like I feel like I'm a, when I get into like a universe like this, I get fully absorbed, and I need all the little crumbs,
Oh.
and
Well, book 2 fully
I'm eating it up.
introduces the magic system that's also present in the universe.
which I'm jazzed for.
Okay.
Which you hinted at the end of this book, and
Right.
I immediately bought the next book. And
Okay.
but I can't read too much into it because the 3rd book hasn't come out. But now that you have confirmed it's submitted,
It is submitted.
my little sci-fi heart can
Yeah.
read on.
Yeah.
I can my heart will read on.
Yep. So there was at least 3 short stories I wrote to make sure I had the magic system ironed out.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is.
Well, one,
okay.
yeah, one I
I'm
wrote
taking
with
notes.
one I wrote with one of my former middle school students.
Okay. Oh, I love
to-
that.
oh yeah, I've co-written with a couple of my middle school students now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so she helped me work out the magic system.
I love
so-
that. Oh, that's so cool. So we have a lot to look forward to.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So if you've read Sweep of Stars, you now have 2 more books and maybe half a dozen short stories. No big.
I will try to collect all the short stories into a single volume at some point.
Oh, that would be really
Yeah.
cool.
So after
Yeah,
book
yeah.
3 comes out, I'll probably try to collect
And then
them.
we'll get a box set. So now we
Correct.
have a collector's item.
Oh
so now
man, I
have
love the
more
way you
things.
think. Yes, we'll
Yeah,
do
hold
that
on.
too. Yes.
Write that down. Write that down. Yeah.
So are any of the things coming out horror, or are they
Oh.
Rage, Afrofuturism?
Yeah. Are we getting a
yes,
mix?
is the answer to that question. So I've so some are horror, like the
Ooh.
Stephen King story, for example. That was a horror short story.
Okay.
That I wrote with a friend of mine. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. I'm trying to think what else is coming out. Like 3 just came out. So my Captain America story just came out. A couple reprints. What was the other story? I don't know. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Right. Because like even thinking through Sweep of Stars, I'm just like, I've lived in this universe for like 6 years. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, so Sweep of Stars, and like even now I had to review Sweep of Stars. Like, what was that book again? Because I'm like, that was like 6 books ago in my world. That was like 6 books ago that I wrote Sweep
Yeah.
of Stars.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm just like, all right, let me go through and like, oh, and then it's like revisiting old friends. It's like, oh yeah, well, because I mean, nope, I can't say that. Never mind.
Nope. That one stays a personal thought.
There's some trauma ahead.
Oh,
So
stop.
I'm like, oh, I'm revisiting some old friends.
No. What? Again, with the cliffhangers,
Sorry.
you've got
Sorry.
someone
I
needs
can't
to
help
stop
myself.
you. You're a menace.
I am. I'm an absolute menace.
You're a literary menace. Oh my gosh. So so I'm curious with where do you draw your inspiration to continue coming up with new ideas and to continue writing? Is this just like the train is now, we have inertia on our side and you have so many new ideas that come from what you're currently working on, and it grows exponentially,
Mhm.
and the number keeps going up that you'll
Right, right.
admit to,
That I'll admit to.
and it just kind of has blossomed into this
Yeah.
world, this internal world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always going to be inspired by the people around me, frankly.
That's beautiful.
I have an amazing group of friends and family and students, and so they're always going to
Yeah.
inspire me.
Even if you kill them all.
Even if I kill them off on
Okay.
occasion, it's in love.
Okay. And that's important.
It's absolutely
Take
important.
notes.
You were, as I tell my students, you were known and loved, even if I kill you off. So, you know,
and if you were dead to me.
and you were dead.
Yeah.
I told you that story off mic, by the way.
And you know what? I won't apologize.
Right. Absolutely. But like even because I remember so Indiana Humanities did a video with a video interview with me after I won for Unfadable, and they asked me about my writing process, and I talked about one of the lessons I'd learned from the musician Prince about what it means to not worry about perfectionism.
Ooh.
And so, you know, what it means to write fast, not worry about perfectionism, and then that way, the mistakes become part of. You incorporate those into your process.
Yeah.
Which then sent me down a rabbit hole of like, man, Prince. He used to have a feud with Rick James, man, and they each had their own fandoms, and what it would look like for fandoms to go to war with each other, and as an intergalactic conflict. And that's literally the story I'm writing right now. I mean, it's literally right because I'm just like,
I love that.
right. And so, you know, things like that, or, you know, frankly, you know, there's plenty of times when stuff my students do ends up in my books. There's a character in a Sweep of Stars, Ellis Olinger. Ellis
Oh.
Olinger, I believe is how it's technically pronounced, or at least that's how it was in my head anyway. Was just a student who I'm like, if you would just be quiet during the study hall, I will put you in the book. And that's how that character came about. I just need you quiet. I will write you into this book. Actually, there's like 3 students made it into the book. I just need them quiet during the study hall.
Oh my gosh.
And then with a City Dreaming, there.
Oh no.
We'll see if this survives the edit. But
So no promises.
right, because there was a student of mine a couple months ago. He had drawn this character called El Dagotan, and it's basically this half goat, half human surfboarding. He likes a sculpted body, but he's a goat and a man, but he likes to surf. And he made this
Okay.
drawing for me, and he's like, "You can't do something like this in your book." And I'm just like, "Challenge accepted." And so I ended up writing his El Dagotan character into the book.
Oh my
And then because, like with my friend who I kill off, once I do the research and once I create the scenario of how you exist in here, then I'm just like, well, crap. Now it's got to be a thread through the rest of the book. I can't be a one-off. So now,
Yeah. He's not the only one.
right? So El Dagotan does a whole thread in the book, which I'm like, well, no one saw that coming, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's what happens when I let my students run amok in my class. So here we are.
But I mean, their creativity and imagination is just boundless. So,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, and they love daring me to do stuff like that. So I'm just like, oh no,
well,
I
now
see
and
you.
now that's public.
Oh yeah,
now
yeah,
that- and
oh,
they
yeah.
know.
Oh no, he knew the whole time because
Oh no.
he'd come by my class like every other week. Mr. Broadus, have you written me into your book yet? Like not yet. But then when I finally said, no, I just wrote that scene this morning. Like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I'll do a dramatic reading of it. So once it's out, I'll do a dramatic reading for your class once it's out. So
Okay.
yeah.
So, and you know what? Bribery works, folks.
Oh yeah. Oh,
It works.
Absolutely. It
All
absolutely
ages.
works. Well, but it also comes back to bite me in the behind every so often too, because my second middle grade book, Unfadable,
Mhm.
was inspired by one of my middle school students also.
Oh.
And so now my middle school students are always like vying to be like, you need to write a book about me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Apparently the rest of my career will be spent incorporating my middle school students into books. So I have boundless inspiration apparently. Right. I have no choice at this point.
Yeah. Is that why you started writing books for this reading range, because of your students inspiring you to write?
You're half right.
Okay. Give me the other half.
The other half was because up until then, if they went and looked me up, if they found out I was a writer and they looked me up, they're like, hey, there's this book Mr. Broadus wrote called Orgy of Souls.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't need you or
Don't
your
don't
parents.
tell your parents.
Right. Discovering
Delete
that
that
book.
search.
So it's just like, and Usual Suspects and Unfadable. Here you go, kids. And Black Panther. Here's stuff y'all can read.
Yeah.
And do not look behind the
Okay.
curtain.
No credits for those.
Right,
No,
exactly.
Don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it literally that's how it started out. I wanted to give them something that they could read, and you know, when Mr. Brown's a writer, what can I read? Well, here's some stuff that you could read.
Now, of the 27 works in progress,
Mhm.
are we all? Is this all kind of in that range, that reading range, or are you kind of all over the place?
Oh no, I'm all over the place.
Okay.
Oh, I'm all over the place.
Love
I
it.
have let's see. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be announcing my next book deal.
Ooh,
And
snaps!
right, so
Congrats.
it's thank you, and it's me and Wayne Brady writing a science fiction thriller
What?
together.
What?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so cool.
actually, it was me and Wayne. The Stephen King story is written with me and Wayne Brady also.
That's so cool.
So that's a sentence that I love. Is like, oh yeah, so me and Wayne Brady wrote a story for Stephen King, as one does.
yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't had anything to flip for like 2 decades. I don't even know what I'm doing right now, but
But we're flipping.
right.
I love that.
Yeah, and so we have so that's can be at least 2 books for that. I have obviously I just turned in A City Dreaming. I also have a historic middle grade book. That's in the works.
Historic.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
It takes place on Indiana Avenue during its heyday. 2 young Black boys trying to figure out what life is going to look like for them. Like one has aspirations to be a jazz musician.
Ooh.
The other one thinks he wants to be a numbers runner, but he's like the worst gangster ever. And so so I just have a great joy about writing that. But plus that also fulfills a promise I made to one of the elders in the community.
Oh.
Which
Gotta stop making promises.
I'm like,
that
no,
27 is going to turn into 47.
I know, right? I think I can tell this story. I'd written a story, the Jordan Peele story, which was the horror story called The Norwood Trouble.
Mhm.
And it was inspired by the Norwood community and some of the elders there. But then one of the elders reads the story and then and decides to call me into her office. You know, it's one of those, because it's through a friend of mine, and she tells my friend, like, I want to speak to your little writer friend, which I now wear as my favorite title. It's like, Maurice Broadus, your little writer friend.
Little red. Yep.
And so so I'm in her living room, and she goes, it's not that I have any qualms about the quality of the writing. And like when she says that, my friend leans over and she hands me a picture, and it's a picture of Langston Hughes giving an award to my elder for her writing. Right? So I'm just like, oh, ma'am. She like, I don't have any qualms about the quality of the writing. It's just I didn't want the first story about Norwood to be a scary story. And I was just like, well, how about if I write a middle grade novel
Yeah.
that also takes place in Norwood?
Yeah.
And she was just like, okay, that'd be acceptable. And so one of the kids is from Norwood, and so much more acceptable. And then she gave me my favorite review ever, because she read an early draft of it. And she goes, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 53. I was 53 at the time. She goes, no. She goes, no. How old are you really? I'm like, I'm really 53. She goes, because the way you wrote this, it was like you lived it and you were there.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, that's it. We're done. Only review I need. we're good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Put it on a billboard.
Right,
call it in.
exactly.
Wrap it up.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So I have a middle grade book coming, and then after that, I'm just all over the place.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just wherever the muse takes me. But yeah, 27 projects later.
Yeah.
We'll see where I end up.
It's taken you a lot of places, apparently.
Right, exactly.
Well, that's so exciting, and I love getting to end on your future projects, so we can know what to look forward to, and what to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to keep an eye out for.
Right. Yeah, I 4 stories just came out in the last month. Like I said, I think I got at least another 8 due out over the course of the year. We'll see if A City Dreaming comes out this year. If not, next year I will have A City Dreaming come out. Possibly the middle grade book. The year after that, the first book of me and Wayne, Hard Times. And
Okay.
then it could be an interesting couple because there was one year I was not nominated for the Indiana Authors Award, and that has really been a burr in my side. I'm literally adjusting my entire writing career so that I'm like, no, I have to have a book that qualifies to at least try to be nominated. That's literally what's driving me right now. It's like, I'm going to have something out. I'm going to have something out.
Yeah, and you know what? A motivation's a motivation.
Right.
Who am I to judge?
I will take the pettiest thing, and that will drive me forward.
Petty got me a PhD, so
Right.
I'm there.
I'm so pro petty.
Yeah, pro petty.
Pro petty.
And that's where we're gonna end it.
We're gonna end on that note. Petty. Enjoy, kids.
Yeah, so thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, whether it's on the live stream or here in person. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your journey and sharing your inspirations, and talking with us about Sweep of Stars. For those of you who are planning on joining us in March, if you're on the live stream, I'm looking at you. Come out at the end of March. We were reading It's Not Hysteria. We're going to talk about women's health. We have a very exciting guest who's going to be, I think, just as lively. She will be a returning guest. So if you have been with us before and you're like, women's health sounds familiar, we're bringing it back. We're coming back. And so, yeah, if you haven't come out to Strangebird yet, come out and see us. We got good drinks, good food. And again, just want to end on a very, very, very big thank you to Indiana Sciences and Indiana Humanities and Strangebird, as always, for helping put this together and having a great event. Yeah, thanks all. See you in March.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm going to say something, and I don't know if this makes sense.
Okay.
But putting Indianapolis as the capital of OE has the same energy as Ben Franklin wanting the national bird to be the turkey.
Right.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, because
but I read that and I said, that's Ben Franklin energy.
Right,
and I don't know what that means.
So the thing was, because like I try to center Indianapolis in like most of my
and
work.
I love that.
And then they said, well, how are you going to do that if it's an intergalactic story? And I'm like, really? That's not hard at all.
No.
Capital Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, too late. No take backs. So,
And actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that. No, that makes sense. Nobody can be mad at you for that.
right. That's what
And
I'm
I love
hoping.
the energy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for coming out
Oh, this
and
was great.
sharing this. And I actually told my husband, he teaches high school, but still, I was like, I'm reading a book that I think your students would really like, and it's like sci-fi, and it's like right in their like wheelhouse. I was like, let's get some copies and let's get this shit going. Because your English teachers, God, they need books.
Right.
Jesus, they need books.
Right. Absolutely. I was actually surprised no one asked me about the how I kept switching characters and persons.
That I will say that threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
In the first about half,
Yeah.
I was like getting whiplash.
Right,
By the end,
right.
I was so used to it. I was
Yeah,
like, all right,
yeah.
we're good. We're motoring.
And then,
I liked it by the end because I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, now we're popping across.
Right.
I don't have to wait for the next, piece.
well, one of the things is like first person, second person, third person indicated their relationship to the idea of community.
Oh yeah.
So like if you're first person, I'm about community, but I can't see past myself.
Yeah.
Second person, I'm I'm all about community, but I feel separated from it somehow.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is just like, no, I'm first person plural. I'm so embedded in community, I can't see outside of we.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is just third person, like, no, it's just community, and go.
Yeah. I am we are I.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah. I Maybe I'll have to reread this. I'm gonna have to reread the first book. It sounds like after I finish 2 and 3. It sounds like that's what's gonna need to happen.
After you read 3, you're gonna go like, wait,
No,
what?
I'm gonna put it down and have to walk away.
Right. 3 comes around though. It'll make you reevaluate, but it comes around, and there's a really if it lands right, there's a really sweet scene it ends on.
Oh, okay. You brought me back hope.
Yes.
All right, you brought me back.
Yes.
You won
Perfect. Okay. And it even involves Zola, as a matter of fact.
I don't know why, but I was like so falling. I fell in love with that character so quickly, and just as quickly, it's taken away from me.
Well, I tell him that just like in real life, you haunt us no matter what we do with you. So you will
Okay.
feel his presence.
I also like that you didn't tell him. You said, read the book. You let him call you.
Absolutely. That was part of my joy.
That's wild.
Part of my joy.